Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Today is a Wellness Wednesday, and we're going to be looking at matters that are of importance to your health. And today we're going to be talking about autoimmune diseases and what we can do to reverse them if we need to reverse them, or protect our bodies from getting it in the first place. And just for the record, I mean, there are so many chronic diseases that you may not even be aware are autoimmune problems. You're going to learn a lot today about some of the conditions that you yourself may be battling, not realizing that that's an autoimmune problem. So before we dive in, the way to get involved with the show today is to give us a call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for calls and messages is 801-0271, 801-0271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages, also streaming live to YouTube on our official channels. And you can check us out on Cable Bahamas channel 974, or download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Of course, we're on radio, 99.5 on your FM dial. You can get us here in New Providence, out of Grand Bahama, the rest of the Family Islands, and a huge welcome to all of you from outside the country who are tuned in. So, autoimmune diseases. Depending on who you ask, some will tell you that we really don't know what causes autoimmune diseases. Others will tell you, well, that's not exactly true. You may not know, but the rest of us know what is causing that autoimmune disease and what you can do to resist it, to, reverse it. So if you are battling an autoimmune disease, then what you do with this information is up to you. You could stick with the people who say you ain't got no choice but to be on this medication for the rest of your life. Or You can, if you're tired of being on this medication, you can say, you know what, I want to try to go the holistic approach. Because you'll be surprised to learn how much control you have over many of these illnesses that our people are facing that are really autoimmune diseases. So, on today's show, you're going to be learning about what is an autoimmune disease. And we're also going to be learning about holistic approaches to get you better if you are suffering from an autoimmune disease. You should know by now that the holistic approach seeks to find the cause of the problem as opposed to just treating the symptom. And the disease itself is really just a symptom. So, our goal today is to get to the root cause, to figure out where is ground zero as it relates to this particular autoimmune illness that you may be facing. So, first, let's go to a clip with Dr. Eric Berg explaining what is an autoimmune disease.
Let me just briefly tell you what an autoimmune condition is. It's a situation where your body has created immune cells that are attacking itself. And that creates inflammation. And the inflammation creates a lot of collateral damage. And it's all those free radicals that end up destroying the tissue. And the immune cells that are attacking itself are called autoantibodies. And you can have these autoantibodies to pretty much any tissue in your body. You can have them to receptors of cells. You can have these immune cells attack pretty much any tissue of the body. And so what an autoimmune condition boils down to is this one cell called the Th17 cell becoming overactive, okay? Excessive amounts of the it's called helper cell 17 are responsible for autoimmune conditions. So now let me just kind of explain what this cell is. In your immune system, you have a lot of different players, and you have different types of T cells. And the T stands for thymus, because that's where it gets its training and that's where it matures and develops. And typically the T helper cells have to do with command control. They're like the quarterback or the general that recruits help for infection, that generates the weaponry like cytokines in the inflammatory process. So it's the main controller of the battle with infections. So it's a real key element. When someone's infected with the HIV virus, what that virus does is it targets the T helper cells and it knocks those guys out. So you have no more immune system at all. Well, in an autoimmune condition, you have an overactivation of these cells right here, Th17 cells. One of the functions of these cells is to maintain in the intestinal barrier, okay? The barrier between microbes, pathogens, and the inside of the body. And I'm talking about the lymph nodes, capillaries, the vascular system. So it's really the maintaining of that barrier. And also to help maintain the microbiome homeostasis. So to keep those microbes from invading the inside of the body. Because if there's a break in the wall and these bacteria get across and invade the inside of your body, and then you're going to get an immune attack and your body's going to start creating antibodies against those cells. If some of those cells are pathogens, that's a good thing. But what if those cells are your own cells? That would be a bad thing. So part of the T cells are involved in central tolerance, which means tolerating itself. In other words, it's differentiating itself from a pathogen. It's making sure that we don't end up destroying our own tissue. This cell helps prevent autoimmune conditions. Now, it also works with the T regulatory cells, which has an even greater function of preventing autoimmune diseases. And it also has a suppressive function of suppressing autoimmune diseases and suppressing hyperinflammatory condition. So anything that's too much inflammation, it tends to calm that system down. So if there's an infection involved and you go through this whole infection, the T regulatory cells, they're also called T suppressor cells, go in there and put the fire out and calm down the infection. So when this cell doesn't work like it should, now you're going to get a movement of bacteria across that intestinal barrier, and you're going to get chronic infection, and you're going to get a lot of inflammation, and that's really what's behind an autoimmune disease.
Okay, so now that we know what it is, you may be surprised to know some of the diseases or symptoms of autoimmune disease. I'm sure that some of you know somebody who's battling with this particular one of these conditions on this list, but they probably are not aware that that is an autoimmune condition. And these are just some of them. There are many out there, but I'm going to go over a list of the more common ones. Things like Addison's disease, celiac disease, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's or thyroid malfunction, multiple sclerosis, pernicious anemia, reactive arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, type 1 diabetes. All of these are autoimmune diseases, but did you know that conditions like alopecia, where you're losing your hair in patches, is also an autoimmune response? Here's one that I was surprised to learn, and I hope I pronounce this right. Vitiligo is, I hope that's how you pronounce it. That's what like Michael Jackson had, where your skin starts losing its pigment. That's an autoimmune disease. It's actually your immune system attacking your own cells, as Dr. Berg just so well pointed out in that clip, explained in that clip. So if these and other diseases are autoimmune diseases, a response to something else, it tells me then that it's not without hope or the end of the world if you get one of these conditions. It means that you need to now get to ground zero, meaning find out what triggered this, what was the initial domino to fall that triggered this reaction of all these dominoes falling to the point where you now have this full-blown autoimmune condition. And like I said, that's just a few of them. There are many, many other diseases out there that people are battling with right now and don't even realize that it's an autoimmune response. So if it's an autoimmune response, it means that this is not something that you are doomed to live with for the rest of your life. But you have to be willing to believe that. I know some people right now who are going through some of these conditions, and you telling them you don't need to be dealing with that, but they don't believe you. Because the doctors say there's no cure for this and I got to be on this medication for the rest of my life. So what do? You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. All we can do, and all I aim to do, is continue to put the information out there, and it's up to you what you do with it. So please, if you know anybody who is going through any of these conditions, like and share the show. Let everybody know. Call people up who may be battling with one of these conditions and tell them, listen, your man, y'all need to tune into 99.5 FM. Michelle going to bring some information today that could help you get over this condition in spite of what you've been told. I've said it time and time again. If the traditional medical approach was the best approach, then the medications that you have been prescribed should at one point heal you. But no, they're not designed to do so. They are designed to make you comfortable in your illness, manage your illness. Okay? But as I always try to point out to people, that's like lying to yourself. Because while you're taking that medication, or while you go get that particular surgery to replace this particular thing, that doesn't stop the degeneration from happening in your body. That's just making you comfortable in the disease. And if you don't address the degeneration problem, or if you don't address the first domino, that will continue until you develop something else and something else. And before you know it, you on 10, 12 different medications, saying none making you feel no better. Well, they may make you comfortable, but they're not healing you. And then you get to the point where they say, well, there's nothing more we could do for you, and they send you home to die. My aim here today is to give you information to help you to understand you do have other options. So, in this clip, Dr. Bell is going to be talking about something that was discovered decades ago as it relates to how to deal with autoimmune diseases. But it was not embraced wide scale. Why? Because the medical profession and the big pharma cartel are all about profit. And you can't profit from vitamins the way you can profit from somebody having to take a pernicious anemia shot every month, or somebody having to be on medication for the rest of their life and come and have to see you. You can't profit from that. So even though they made this discovery decades ago as to what you can do to better manage, or I shouldn't even say better manage, but to deal with autoimmune diseases, they have rejected the information because of the almighty dollar. So I want you to listen carefully to this. Next clip.
Today, we're going to talk about some really interesting information relating to an autoimmune disease. Now, if you have an autoimmune condition, this video is going to enlighten you on a protocol that you may or may not know about. This information is about the Coimbra protocol by Dr. Coimbra. He's a Brazilian neurologist. This is what he said. All or nearly all patients with autoimmune disease have an increased resistance to the effects of vitamin D. Now, we know to date there are thousands of scientific peer-reviewed studies linking the vitamin D levels to autoimmune diseases. So in other words, if you have autoimmune disease, chances are you're low in vitamin D. But Dr. Coimbra took it one step further and found out that there's not just a deficiency of vitamin D, there's a resistance to vitamin D. He noticed that in order to raise the vitamin D levels in these patients with autoimmune diseases, it requires much higher doses than in the average population. So for example, if you're going to maintain vitamin D levels in a healthy person, you'd probably want to use 10,000 IUs. And this is also based on quite a few credible sources, like Dr. Michael Halleck, who's the authority in vitamin D, discusses taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D without any chance of toxicity, versus the medical healthcare system in general recommending only 600 IUs of vitamin D per day. So when you give a patient who has an autoimmune disease 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3, you may notice only a slight partial improvement. So this topic is very, very important, especially since like 50 million people in the US have autoimmune conditions. Now, vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a hormone. Its chemistry is very similar to steroid hormones, okay? That's why it creates some very similar effects to cortisol. It's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It helps to calm down an overactive immune system, because one of its amazing functions is its ability to act as an immune regulator, okay? So it regulates the immune system. So if your immune system is attacking itself, that's out of control. And that's what an autoimmune condition is, whether you have MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, Hashimoto's, or whatever. What's common in all those conditions is, number one, inflammation and a low vitamin D status.
Who knew? Like I said earlier, this information has been around for quite some time. But they either don't want you to know this, so they are intentionally keeping the information from you. And why would they want to do that? Because you can't patent vitamin D. It's all about the money, people. And for those of you who are listening to this show and you're saying, here we go again, Michelle, here we go again. You know, I don't know why you keep speaking against the medical profession and all this kind of stuff. Let me just say for the record again, because you know some of you are a little slow. And I will say this disclaimer for every single time I do one of these shows. I am not disparaging the role of the medical doctor. They have a very important role to play, particularly when it comes to trauma care, acute situations. In other words, you're having a heart attack, you need to go see a doctor right away. You get a bad laceration, you need to go see a doctor to close that thing up. You get in a bad accident, etc. Okay? But when it comes to long, chronic, non-communicable disease, they are not your best source. Now, just so you know, it just came out this week in the news. I actually saw it on CNN, I believe. A report that has been released with regard to the number of deaths and serious side effects like paralysis that have resulted from medical treatment being received in hospitals in the United States. The number that they have determined, the number of deaths and serious injury from hospitals themselves, this information has come from. In 1 year, each year in the United States, over 800,000 people are either killed or seriously maimed as a result of treatment that they receive in hospital. 800,000 per year. So when you decide that your medical doctor is the beginning and end when it comes to knowledge about how to care for your disease, think again. Because I dare say that if there was an airline that published that each year our airline crashes and has crashes and 800,000 people a year die on our airline, I think nobody's going to be flying with them. I think they're going out of business real quick. You can say, man, fly with yours is dead sentence. The medical profession is the only one that I know of that reminds me of 007, License to Kill. Yeah, I said it. And again, I am not disparaging doctors. They play a very important role when it comes to acute situations. But their own records, and this is just the United States. This isn't everywhere else in the world. Just the United States, 800,000 people per year die at the hands of doctors or are seriously maimed from treatments that they receive in hospital. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you listen to this show today. Because what you're going to hear on this show today, unlike that pharmaceutical, what they telling you got to be on for the rest of your life, ain't no side effects when you go the holistic route. So why is this information not more accepted? We can talk about that, but I got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. This is GPS on a Wellness Wednesday.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fence and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. and welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here on this Wellness Wednesday. We're talking today about autoimmune diseases, and there are several out there that people may not even realize is an autoimmune disease, and what you can do about it if you find yourself or loved one who's battling one of these diseases. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line is 801 0271, 801 0271. You can either call us or message us on WhatsApp. We are streaming live on our YouTube channels as well as on Facebook on the Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. So please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. You can also check us out on Cable Bahamas channel 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Huge welcome to our radio audience from here in New Providence, from Grand Bahama, throughout the family of islands, and a special welcome to all of you who are tuned in from outside the country. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. So today we're talking about autoimmune diseases. And there are lots of diseases out there that you may not even have realized the connection between that and your your immune system. Diseases like inflammatory bowel disease, or diseases like psoriasis, those skin diseases. These are all autoimmune conditions. Then there's some really strange diseases that most of us have never heard about, but like, I hope I pronounce this right, Guillain-Barré syndrome. I know someone whose young brother, they believed, 16 years old, recently came down with that, so they thought. And there are many others, hepatitis, autoimmune hepatitis, many others that are autoimmune diseases. And if you listen to certain people, they'll tell you, oh, there's nothing you can do. You have to be on medication for the rest of your life. But there's evidence to suggest that that is not exactly true. So if vitamin D, and there are other things that you can do about it, but let's just stick with vitamin D for now. If vitamin D resistance is a major part of this whole question of why you come down with the autoimmune disease, and if they've known about this for decades, why is this not more widely accepted? Well, it wouldn't be the first time that they have not accepted evidence that you can do something holistically. Check this out.
My question is, since there's so much data on this relationship between low vitamin D levels and autoimmune disease, why don't the doctors recommend this more often? Well, I'm going to refer you to vitamin C in scurvy. Now, in 1595, the world faced a serious problem with sailing ships. Sailors were dying. There was no cause, no cure. Then in 1601, several years later, you have Captain James Lancaster decided to give 1 teaspoon of lemon juice daily to a certain group of sailors. And all of those sailors did not die, but a good percentage of those who didn't take it died, like 40%. So it was known back in 1595 that something in lemon juice prevented scurvy, which is a very serious, deadly condition. Then in 1753, James Lind published a study on scurvy, and he concluded a sudden and visible effect for scurvy when you fed these sailors oranges and lemons. Now, you would think that this would be disseminated and people would accept it and the medical profession would welcome this great information, right? Not quite. In fact, even James Lind himself said that it wasn't the vitamin C primarily, that was a secondary effect. He said that scurvy was caused by moisture, and you had to keep these sailors in a dry environment. Then in 1795, Gilbert Bain persuaded the Royal Navy to give lemon juice to sailors. But it took 70 years later, in 1865, before the intake of lemon was finally recommended to prevent scurvy. But even that didn't convince everyone. So it was soon discredited for about, 60 more years until they actually discovered vitamin C. So vitamin C was discovered in 1932. Now, even during the Civil War, which is 1861 through 1865, 7,000 Union troops died of scurvy. Another 45,000 troops died indirectly of scurvy from dysentery, which is an infection that affects the digestive system, as well as diarrhea. I mean, in 1849, when they had the California gold rush, 10,000 people died. And then the Irish famine with the potato crops in 1840s, over 1 million people died of scurvy. So what is my point? My point is it takes a long time for the medical profession to adopt new ideas. So with this whole vitamin D deficiency linked to autoimmune disease, it could take, probably another 150 to, 200 years before they really fully accept this.
So I don't know about you, but if you're battling one of these diseases, I don't think you have 150 years to wait for them to admit the obvious. And for the record, we saw that the medical profession and big pharma, they can rush through what they want to rush through. Hint, hint. What happened during the pandemic? Hint, hint. They could rush through their pharmaceuticals. They can rush that through. But when it comes to anything holistic or natural, they try to put roadblocks in the way. Why? It's all about the money. What never ceases to amaze me when I come across clients who are going through various conditions. And I say to them, okay, this is the nutritional approach that we need to take. And when they start to, let's use high blood pressure as an example. We have a protocol that we use for people with high blood pressure because that's really a nutritional deficiency. That's what it is. And we find that once you put the person on the adequate nutrition, their pressure comes down. So if they are taking a pharmaceutical to manage their high blood pressure, and you put them on nutrients that will get their body to regulate the pressure as it should, clearly their pressure is going to drop. But before they go to the doctor and say, okay, either you diminish the medication or depending on whether or not they need to take me off altogether, the first thing they blame is, oh, I can't take this nutrition because this caused my pressure to drop. Duh. The whole idea is to get you to the place where your body is functioning so well that you don't need the pharmaceutical. But they have been so sold to this concept that they can only survive if they stay on the pharmaceutical, that they would prefer to stay taking some kind of synthetic drug that ain't healing them. And the first thing they do is they want to throw away the nutrition, which actually heals. Make it make sense. But this is how well the medical professionals, and more so Big Pharma have convinced people that they are the authority. And truth be told, the only authority they are is on how to keep you sick. Now, some of them would argue and tell you, you don't need to take these nutrients because you may get side effects from the nutrients. Like, really? Really? Watch any commercial for these brand new drugs that they come out with every other day. I talk about it all the time on the show. They show the people running through the meadow and smiling, and life is wonderful because I'm taking this drug. And then they say real fast, side effects may include depression, suicidal thoughts, liver failure. And they list off all these side effects because they have to do it by law now. And then they go back to the one running through the meadow call your doctor and ask about this. I'm saying to myself, well, after hearing them side effects, what am I trying to fix? Why would I put myself on that? But this is what they do. And you actually have some doctors who will tell you that you should not take nutrition because you might get a side effect from nutrition. So stay on the medication. What we know could give you a side effect. It doesn't make sense, but this is what they have convinced people of. So here's Dr. Berg now talking about the side effects, quote unquote, of vitamin D.
The treatment for autoimmune disease is mainly steroids, and steroids give some massive, massive side effects. And vitamin D does not. And vitamin D works very similar to the steroid cortisol, but without the side effect. Now, when you're using higher doses of vitamin D, potentially you could get hypercalcemia. And the biggest problem with that is kidney stones. However, when we talk about the protocol next, Dr. Coimbra came up with a solution for this potential side effect. But what we have to realize is that it takes high doses of vitamin D over months to create hypercalcemia. So vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a hormone. It acts like a steroid. It doesn't have the side effects, but it is different than most hormones because hormones have a very specific target tissue they go after, okay? Like, for example, the hormone testosterone or cortisol or other hormones or even estrogen, they go after very specific tissues. But with vitamin D, which I don't even like to call it a vitamin, its receptor, its target is in every single cell of the body. You have 229 different genes that are directly influenced by vitamin D, which relate to 25,000 different functions. It is the most important vitamin simply because it does so many different things, and so many people are deficient in this vitamin. Now, this is all very interesting, but there's something even more interesting that I want to share with you right now. Remember, I mentioned the term resistant, right? You're resistant to vitamin D. One big way someone is resistant to vitamin D is a problem with the vitamin D receptor, okay? And that condition is called vitamin D polymorphism, which is an alteration in the receptor for vitamin D. So in other words, if someone has this defect in the receptor, they're going to be very resistant to absorbing vitamin D. They're going to have to take a lot more than a person who doesn't have this problem. So to make this simple to understand, you can look at a polymorphism as a mutation, which is some change in the genetics. Now, this is very interesting, okay? You can develop a polymorphic change or a mutation in the gene either through having it inherited from your parents or developing it this life from the environment spontaneously. A drug, a severe overwhelming stress, which could explain why so many people develop autoimmune diseases after a severe loss of a loved one or a severe stress event or a trauma. So the more resistant you are to vitamin D, the more predisposed you are to getting an autoimmune disease like diabetes, type 1 and type 2, cancer, bone loss, and even hives.
All right, so we're going to talk about other factors that lead to vitamin D resistance in a second, but I want to read a couple of your messages. So Maria says, a side effect of the COVID shot is Guillain-Barré. Wonder if the 16-year-old took it? Yes, he did. I can leave that one right there. Lloyd says, most doctors today, like most lawyers, it's all about the money. And Lloyd is also talking, Amanda is talking about a condition that I believe Armando, a condition that he has that the doctors could not figure out that's also an autoimmune disease. Toxins also play a role in this, as we're going to learn why. And when I say toxins, I do include things like certain shots that were given to people. And all of a sudden, healthy people are coming down with these strange autoimmune conditions or very aggressive forms of cancer. So yeah, I can just drop that one right there and leave that right. So you do it what you want. I ain't going no further than that. There are other factors that will lead to resistance of vitamin D as well. And we are going to get to causes in the show. So just bear with me. Because one of the root causes is so simple that you'd be amazed. Some people think when I tell them what they need to do as it relates to that, that's all. Like they think, well, no, that can't be true. Because it can't be that simple. And really, it's not rocket science to figure this out. And again, the reason why it's not being promoted is because certain people can't make no money if it is. And let me just say this, because I know sometimes I can come across as anti-doctor, and I'm really not, because some of my family members are doctors and they're good people, and they went into the medical profession because they wanted to help save lives. I'm not blaming individual doctors for this. I am blaming the system of which they are a part. I am blaming them because they really, really only want to save lives. But they've been taught by a system that is all about profit. Now, that's another show all within itself. So whereas these are good people, for the most part, because you got some unscrupulous ones, like unscrupulous every other profession out there. But for the most part, these are good people who went into medicine because they wanted to help save lives. And in many instances, they do. So don't get me wrong. If you're a medical doctor listening to this, don't cut your eye when you see me in the street. Nothing personal. Like I say, some of my loved ones, my family members are doctors, and they wanted to save lives. And I'm not saying that you don't. But again, it's the system that's the problem. The system under which you were trained. And I'm happy to see that many doctors nowadays realize that their training was severely lacking, particularly when it comes to the knowledge of the power of nutrition. And they're now embracing that and embracing more holistic approaches and incorporating them along with their, incorporating them into their practice and seeing great results. So I just had to put that out there. So, what are the other factors that are leading to the resistance of vitamin D? Here now, once again, is Dr. Eric Berg with that.
The color of your skin, the darker your skin, the more difficulty it is to absorb vitamin D, because the pigment melanin blocks the UV radiation, which is kind of necessary for the formation of vitamin D through the skin. Then you have like the metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance factor, which can block your ability to absorb vitamin D. Obesity, the more fat you have, the less you're going to absorb vitamin D. Then you have age, the older you are, the less you're going to absorb vitamin D. And then, of course, we have the diet, which is even more difficult to get vitamin D from the diet because there's not many foods that will give it to you unless you're consuming fatty fish, salmon, cod liver oil, things like that. And then on top of everything else, just not getting exposure to sun. People stay inside all the time. They don't get out there to get that sun. Not to mention, if they do, they put a bunch of sun lotion on their body to prevent the UV radiation.
Now, with this heat stroke going on out here, you got to be wise. You got to use wisdom in this, okay? I'm not saying to go sit out in that hot sun there and catch a sunstroke. heat stroke, no. But you gotta have some kind of exposure to the sunlight, particularly those of us of a darker hue with more melanin in our skin, because it is through sunlight that we absorb and our bodies develop vitamin D. And as we're learning, vitamin D is a key component, not the only one, but a key component in warding off autoimmune diseases. So we are definitely going to look at other causes as well. But before we do, we're going to talk about this protocol that this particular doctor, that Dr. Burke has been promoting in these videos, the protocol that he recommends for persons with autoimmune disease. First, let me look at a couple of your comments from Facebook. So Lloyd says, give me the bush medicine over drugs any day. Where were most of those same doctors when those jobs were being forced on our people? Armando says vitamins are very important. And Lloyd says, remember, the beach was off limits during the pandemic where the sun will surely be present. Okay. Let's see, there are other comments here that I didn't get to. Okay, so let's look at this protocol before we go to the next break. This clip is talking more about the protocol that was discovered decades ago. That is for the most part being ignored when it comes to how to deal with autoimmune diseases. And then once we watch this, we're going to take a break. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to look more specifically at causes, at some of the things that you're doing daily that are making you more susceptible to autoimmune diseases. But first, here is this clip on the protocol.
When you take vitamin D, that suppresses the parathyroid hormone. So the more vitamin D you take that gets absorbed, the less parathyroid hormone you're going to have. So the goal with this whole protocol is to drop your parathyroid hormone into the lower level of the normal range. Now, if your parathyroid hormone is high, that usually means that you're low in vitamin D or it's being resistant. It's just not going in. Now, as far as the amount of vitamin D that someone is going to take, it could range anywhere between 40,000 IUs per day to 200,000 IUs per day, depending on a couple factors, one being your body weight, as well as the parathyroid hormone. So typically the rough formula for how much vitamin D you're going to start with would be 1,000 IUs per kilogram of body weight. So I weigh 185 pounds. So that means I weigh about roughly 84 kilograms, which would equate to about 84,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. Now, to minimize the main side effect of this protocol, okay, which is kidney stones, what he recommends is avoiding calcium, okay, as a supplement, as in hard water, okay, as in nuts, because nuts have a good amount of calcium, like in tofu or other soy products, which do have calcium, and anything related to dairy, like milk, cheese, yogurt, etc. And on top of that, you'll drink about 2.5 liters of fluid a day. So you can have the benefits of vitamin D without the one big side effect, which is kidney stones. And typically he states that it takes roughly about 2 months to see the changes in the blood consistently. But then over the course of 2 years, you'd be checking the parathyroid about 4 times and making adjustments throughout. And then within 2 years, once you're stabilized, then you'll be on a maintenance type program. Now, again, this might sound complex or difficult, etc., But from my point of view, if you have an autoimmune disease and you want to weigh out the risks and the benefits of being on prednisone long-term versus doing this, I think it's a no-brainer. So again, I put the information down below. You can click the link. I'm not affiliated with this doctor in any way, shape, or form, but it's great information for someone that is looking for an alternative to the conventional treatment for autoimmune disease.
Now, for the record, what he is recommending is for somebody who already has an autoimmune disease, not to say that person shouldn't be taking calcium. But if you already have an autoimmune disease that you're trying to heal, then that's where his recommendation kicks in. As I tell people all the time, when we're making recommendations for them from an holistic standpoint, and sometimes when they have so many health conditions that we're trying to solve, and we have to, recommend more than just the 90 nutrients. We have to recommend that in addition to the 90 nutrients, they do this and they do the next. And they say, well, how long I got to be doing all this? And the answer is, we're trying to get your body healed to the point where all you have to do is maintain. And in order to maintain, you just need the 90 nutrients. But for now, we got to go at it hard if you're going at to try to heal holistically, because you've got so much damage that's already been done to the body that we're trying to heal the body, reverse that damage. So it's going to take some extra effort. But the idea is to get you to the point where your body is regulated and healed, to the point where, for those of you who are currently battling an autoimmune condition, where you can safely take calcium, because calcium is very important. So that's important to point out that he was speaking specifically to persons in that clip who already have an autoimmune condition that they're trying to reverse. Okay? So let's take this break. On the other side of the break, we're going to be talking about the root cause of much of this. What is the first domino to fall? We're going to talk about that. And you will discover this is fixable, people. You just got to be willing to make some changes. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we're back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on this overcast now Wednesday afternoon. It's a Wellness Wednesday, and we're looking at matters that are important to your health. Specifically today, we're talking about autoimmune diseases and what you can do to reverse it if you are battling from one of them. The telephone numbers to call if you have a question or comment are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages or calls is 801-0271, 801-0271. And we are also available on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. Check us out there. We're streaming live to YouTube or Facebook to the official Michelle Malcolm page or the official Global 99.5 FM page. Make sure you check us out there, or on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. Download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Or tune in by way of radio. Huge welcome to all of you here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, the Family Islands, and all of you from outside the country who are listening in. I appreciate every single one of you. The show would not be what it is without you. I see the rain is down in this area. Okay. Hopefully that'll help us cool down a bit, because it's been terribly, terribly hot these past several days and a couple of weeks. Okay, so we're talking about, on this Wellness Wednesday, autoimmune diseases and what you can do from an holistic standpoint to reverse those diseases if you are battling them, or what you can do to make sure you don't get the disease in the first beginning, like we say here in the Bahamas, in the first place. Okay, so what are the causes of autoimmune disease? What's that first domino to fall that triggers this response that leads to these diseases? I don't care if your autoimmune condition is lupus or multiple sclerosis or psoriasis or rheumatoid arthritis or pernicious anemia. It don't matter what it is. They all go back to ground zero. That first domino to fall. That's where it begins. And as I often say on the show, to me, it makes sense to find that first domino and fix that to stop the chain reaction than only focusing on the last domino and making you comfortable with that last domino while the destruction continues, because you haven't addressed the problem from the first domino. So what is that first domino to fall as it relates to autoimmune diseases? Well, let's hear again from Dr. Eric Berg.
But now the question is, how do these cells become overactivated? Well, they don't know that, but they do know there's several things involved. We know there's usually a microbe involved, some infection by some virus or some other microbe. There's also associations with stress, so that could activate cortisol, which also weakens this barrier right here. And then we also have malnutrition, that factor. And I'm talking about vitamin D. Now, what's so interesting about vitamin D is that vitamin D helps this cell directly. It can help to bring down this overreaction of this cell. And this is why vitamin D, even in the 40s, was used for rheumatoid arthritis. And I'm talking like 200,000 to 400,000 international units of vitamin D to put that condition in remission. So vitamin D helps to regulate the T helper cells, specifically this one that's involved in autoimmune disease. If you have an autoimmune condition, you should be taking vitamin D.
Okay, that's been fully established. But here's the kicker. Here's the ground zero that a lot of people are missing. You've heard me say time and time again that the majority of your immune system is found where? In the gut. I think 75 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So clearly, if you have some kind of condition where your immune system is out of whack to the degree where it's attacking your own body, attacking your cells, attacking your hair follicles, which is causing your hair to fall out, or attacking your skin to the degree that it's causing it to lose color, or whatever, then maybe it would make sense for us to look at your gut health. You think? If your immune system, for the most part, resides in your gut, then I don't think you need to be a rocket science to figure out that gut health is a very important part of this conversation. You ain't got to be Einstein to figure this out. So we have to look at gut health. We have to look at the balance within your gut that is often compromised, and why it is compromised and how it becomes compromised when we're talking about the role of gut health in autoimmune diseases. And this is where we lose a lot of people, because they don't want to do what they need to do to heal the gut, because they are so addicted to a particular type of food that they really, 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 really like and don't want to give up. And even though you're telling them, you got to stop eating that food because that's damaging your gut. And if you're damaging your gut, you're setting yourself up for all of these conditions and diseases. Yeah, but I won't eat what I want to eat. This is where we lose a lot of people right here. They rather put up with the autoimmune disease than to just simply stop eating some things. And I say to them all the time, boy, that tastes that good? To be worth you having lupus? That tastes that good? That you're willing to risk continuing to have this debilitating disease just so you can continue to eat that? Is it worth it? But again, I don't have MD behind my name. So they dismiss what you're saying because you ain't got MD behind your name, so you ain't know what you're talking about. And the doctor ain't tell me that. The doctor ain't tell me I got to stop eating this thing, so why should I listen to you? And sometimes I just say, well, if you like it, let it kill you. The funny thing is, I've come across patients who we tell them you got to stop eating gluten, for instance, because it's damaging your gut. I explain why. I send them a video showing them how it's damaging their gut. And for a short while, they stop eating it and they start to feel better. And then after a while, after they start to feel better and their numbers improve, they come back and they say, yeah, I feel better, but I still want to eat my bread. I still want to eat my... And I say, wow. You don't remember how bad you felt You are getting results, but you still won't eat that bread because you won't eat that bread? Please introduce me to your baker, because I never taste no bread but tastes that good. For me to be willing to continue to have a debilitating condition like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or pernicious anemia. But you see, they don't want to believe you because they don't want to give up that bread. They don't want to put down that cake. And for the record, now that I say cake, that reminds me. I keep telling you all, there are other ways to still enjoy the foods that you love. You all know I just celebrated my birthday on the 16th of this month, right? My beloved family decided to have this little family gathering where we did like a game night type of thing. And I have a cousin who bakes as a side gig. You know, she bakes, she sells cakes and all this kind of stuff. And she knows that I'm gluten-free. So I figured, you know, I was going to go through this birthday celebration without a birthday cake. I can't tell you the last time I had a birthday cake. My cousin shows up with a gluten-free birthday cake that she made for me. I took photos of it. She said, now, I don't know how it tastes because this is my first time trying to make a cake with this gluten-free flour. But, you know, I know that you weren't going to eat the regular cake. So I took the effort to try to make this gluten-free cake just for you. Man, when I sink into that, all my eye gone in the back of my head. I said, thank you, Jesus. That cake was so good. I said, oh my God, I'm dying and going to heaven. Even the little children. I could have piece more, please. Nobody could have tell that that was gluten-free cake. So Heidi, if you listen to girl, I love you, girl. Oh my God, it was so good. I said to her, you need to add this to your repertoire. You know what? You'll probably get more business selling this gluten-free cake than you get with the regular cake. Because there's so many people now who are becoming educated about how damaging gluten is to the body. I say that to say there are alternatives. You could get gluten-free stuff. You don't have to be eating that stuff that's damaging your body. So I ain't telling you, you must never, ever, 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 ever eat bread again. Just get gluten-free bread. And if you don't like how the one tastes in the food store, I can ask Heidi permission to give her a number. So she could make you a good gluten-free. Because now that she done that, who knows what else she could do. And I'm sure there are other bakers out there as well, you know, who are doing gluten-free stuff. But you have other options. But it can't be where you refuse to give up this thing that is damaging your body and then complaining on the other hand about your rheumatoid arthritis and your pernicious anemia. But you wouldn't stop eating that Johnny cake. You wouldn't stop eating them sandwiches. Oh, but I got to get a shot every month. You won't take that shot. But again, I don't have MD behind my name, so they ain't listening to me. I talking to you myself. I talk about my own family now. Now, some clients listen, and they feel so much better. I have this one client who is a nurse and was having really bad joint pain to the degree where she was walking with a cane. And I said to her, after we did the evaluation, you most likely have leaky gut. And I explained to her what leaky gut is all about and why, you know, it's causing you to have joint pain. I said, I know you'll never connect that joint pain with your gut, but that's where it starts. So she came off the gluten, and for a while she was doing so much better. She said her fellow nurses were saying, look, girl, what you doing? You walking so good and all this kind of stuff. So she was doing better. And then one day she decided, Mama's Malcolm, you know what she talking about. Let me go try eat one piece of bread. She said she went and she had a sandwich. She said, Miss Malcolm, when that pan hit me. I said, that's good for you. Because you think I talking to you myself. But she had to go through that to understand that what she, and it's a nurse, that what she had learned wasn't all of the story. So now I ain't got to convince her that she shouldn't be eating that bread. But this is the first domino. Gut health. This is where it starts. So once again, here is Dr. Eric Berg.
This is a very important video for anyone with an autoimmune disorder, or for that matter, any inflammatory disorders. Now, of course, the thing to do if you have an autoimmune condition is go to the experts, right? So this is what they will tell you what to do, right? Consume plenty of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, legumes. Only have moderate amounts of alcohol. Limit your sugars and sodas, and also limit your refined grains. But of course, the diet is going to recommend you can have some sugars, juice and alcohol and sugar and fine grains. Just don't have too much, and you'll be totally fine. Well, I'm going to let you know right now, you will never, ever get better if you follow that recommendation. So let's go ahead and dissect and talk about what's really behind an autoimmune disorder. Most autoimmune disorders, where your own cells are attacking itself, creating a lot of collateral damage with inflammation, start in the gut. But I want to talk about the mechanism of what starts it. In the gut, we have this immune barrier, okay? We also have other barriers on their skin, the internal skin. We have other immune things like acids in your stomach, bile that's produced by the gallbladder, lactic acid that's produced by some of your microbes that all prevent pathogens from invading the body. And we also have this thing called the blood-brain barrier, which protects pathogens from invading the brain. And so the immune system, and I just have to say this, is so highly complex and so mysterious. Really, no one understands the complexity of this magical defense mechanism and how amazing it is. And when you appreciate it, you're much less susceptible to using things to try to bypass your immune system, like antibiotics, for example, or anything to stop an infection. You want to let your body learn from it and develop more immunity. But before we get into this, I want to just touch on something that's really important. It's about the immune system. Since we're on the topic of autoimmune, our immune system is developed when we're small infants. Hopefully you had a natural childbirth, you weren't C-section, because that can inhibit the starting of the immune system because of the microbiome that's developed in a natural birthing process. And hopefully you were breastfed too, because of the probiotics that are in the breast milk really fortify that immune system early on. When we talk about a fetus growing in a mother's womb, it's not a sterile environment. They did think it was sterile at one time, but they recently found microbes in the amniotic fluid. And some babies actually have their first bowel movement right inside the womb, and they found microbes in there. Where do they come from? Well, they came from the mother. And so an infant's immune system starts at birth. And if they don't have these certain factors, okay, if things are too sterile, if an infant is exposed to antibiotics or anything that can inhibit that microbiome, boy, is that immune system affected later on in life.
Okay, so gut health is extremely important. That balance of the microbiome is extremely important because you want to make sure that you are you have a healthy balance to ensure that you're able to absorb nutrients and keep you healthy. And in case you aren't aware of leaky gut syndrome, leaky gut is one of the conditions that you develop that lead to these problems with autoimmunity. And what happens with leaky gut is when you eat certain foods, or you are facing certain pathogens or certain toxins or long-term stress, your gut becomes compromised to the degree that, and I think in one of these clips, Dr. Berg is going to talk about it in more detail, but your gut becomes compromised to the degree that the barrier that exists that is supposed to protect you from the wrong things getting into your bloodstream starts to deteriorate. And when these things that aren't supposed to be there get into your bloodstream, then your immune system does what it was designed to do, which is to see these foreign substances, interpret them as an enemy to be destroyed, and then round up the troops and go to war. That's the role of your immune system. That's what your immune system was designed to do. And in the case of autoimmune diseases, what happens is your body sees these foreign substances and interprets them as an enemy to be destroyed and rounds up the troops and goes to war. But in essence, what is happening is your body is attacking itself, its own cells. And that's what leads to all of these various diseases. Your body's attacking itself. And so in the case of thyroid disease, the immune system rounds up the troops and they go to war on the thyroid. In the case of arthritis, they round up the troops and they go to war on your joints. Why certain people develop certain autoimmune conditions as compared to others, we don't know. But we do know how it all starts. And some people, unfortunately, can develop more than one autoimmune disease at the same time. And it's all because of that compromised gut. So you got to stop damaging your gut, people. You have to. Now, one of the things that you need to be aware of when it comes to the microbes and microbiome balance in your gut is the type of foods that you're eating, not just the gluten, but other foods as well make a big difference. What do I mean? We were designed, our bodies are from the earth, and our bodies are designed to respond best to plant-derived products. And there's a reason for that. And this is why genetically modified foods also damage the body, or if they don't damage your body, they don't give your body any benefit because your body doesn't recognize them as real food. But because your body is an earth suit, you got to go back to the earth to find healing for the body. And this is why plant-derived is so important, because plant-derived nutrition is what helps to fix the body a lot faster than some kind of chemical that was created in a lab. So the method of farming is very, very important. Okay? Back in the day, for instance, when my grandparents used to farm on Cat Island, they used to slash and burn. They had a technique then called slash and burn. So the what do you call it? The ash that was left behind was actually minerals that they would mix back into the soil. And so whatever grew from that soil was full of minerals, but it also had a healthy balance of microbes that play a very important role in microbiome balance in your gut. This is important, particularly in this day and age when we have so many genetically modified foods. So let's play this one more clip as it relates to farming and the importance of making sure that you get foods that were properly farmed for gut health.
And the recent interest that I have in this topic relates to farming and growing certain plants And I'm going to be doing some very interesting research on my farm relating to this topic. But a seed that is grown in the soil is not just a little packet of genetic information. It is literally Noah's Ark. You have all sorts of microbes growing inside that seed and on the surface of that seed that helps that seed be fortified in its growing process. And so they found that if you disrupt that microbiome early on, that plant won't really grow. It won't really have that microbiome to help it absorb nutrition. Well, the exact same thing happens with us, with our immune system early on. We're talking about the gut barrier, okay? There are these protective things called tight junctions that keep the cells very, very, very tight and secure. So it forms a very, very nice barrier between the inside of your body and the outside of the body, or really the inside of the gut. So if there's a pathogen trying to invade the gut, these tight junctions prevent it from doing so. Now, the medical term for this is intestinal permeability. Of course, it's the same thing as a leaky gut, right? There's holes in your intestine that allow things to pass through that then don't get the stamp of immune approval through immigration, and then certain things can be tagged incorrectly, and then your immune system can go after them, and then we have a war, we have inflammation, and then we can develop autoimmune diseases. Now, there's this protein that regulates these tight junctions, and if this zonulin and the tight junctions are not working correctly, the immune system's not going to have the ability to differentiate between self and non-self. In other words, your immune system can make a mistake and start incorrectly assigning your own tissue being a foreign pathogen and start developing antibodies, whether it's for the thyroid, the brain, anything. And so this zonulin protein is always elevated in autoimmune diseases as well as a lot of inflammatory conditions. It is the primary regulator of that intestinal permeability. So if we look at what foods are best for an autoimmune disease, it would be those foods that reduce permeability and that keep this zonulin in check and prevent it from getting too high. So what I did is I cross-referenced a lot of different foods and other things that relate to not only increasing or decreasing zonulin, but also affecting the intestinal permeability, as well as directly causing autoimmune diseases, okay? So the number one thing that helps regulate zonulin is your own microbiome, okay? So anything that destroys your microbiome is going to be very, very bad for the situation. Anything that supports it is going to be very, very good. And again, we come full circle to these microbes, right? They're not us, but they live with us and they greatly help us. A very large portion of our immune system is due to these microbes. And I really think if we look at the difference between like 50 years ago and now, we definitely do not have the numbers and the diversity of microbiome in our guts. And we definitely don't have the numbers and diversity of microbiome in the soil. I think that is really at the core of the problem.
Ground zero. Domino one. Something as simple as healing your gut. Ain't no doctor can tell you that. Because they can't have you on medication for the rest of your life if you heal your gut. Simple as that. But no, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. That nutrition ain't gonna help you none, chat. Just keep taking this pharmaceutical. If you have sense, you better take your health into your own hands. And again, we don't, just for the record, we don't ever tell people to just, quit your doctor and quit. No. We're not that irresponsible. We will say, take the nutrition and let your doctor be the one to wean you off the medication. That's the responsible thing to do. But they will have to wean you off because your body's going to start to function the way it's supposed to function. And then you will have less and less need for that medication. So don't blame the nutrition when your body isn't responding the way it's supposed to respond. I had a client call me the other day. She's a new client. I tell her she needs to get off of gluten. I tell her what she needs to do. Okay, so she called me a couple weeks later. Miss Malcolm, I'm having this sharp pain, and I'm thinking that it have to be these nutrients you have me on. I say, sweetie, come on now. Our nutrition doesn't cause pain. Our nutrition heals. What are you eating? Well, I did have a piece of, I say, bingo. Why the first thing you want to blame is nutrition, but you don't want to clean up your diet. There is no amount of nutrition that can outdo a poor diet, or toxins, or stress. So if you ain't willing to make them changes to your diet, you like it, let it kill you. Because there ain't no amount of nutrition in the world could outdo a poor diet, or toxins, or stress. You got to be willing to make the changes. So, going to take a break. On the other side of the break, we're going to look at some of your comments, and then we're going to look at some common things that will help to offset your microbiome. Common, especially in the Bahamas, this particular thing we like to pop for everything. And oftentimes what you're popping it for ain't got nothing to do with what that thing was created to do, but yet you're damaging your gut in the process. So we'll talk about that and more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy, with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and onboard lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift, on Global 99.5 FM. On this Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about autoimmune diseases and what you can do to reverse it if you have one or to avoid it altogether. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. 8010271. We are streaming live to our official Facebook pages, Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM. If you haven't already done so, please like and share the show. Also streaming live to our YouTube channels. And you can catch us on channel 974 on Cable Bahamas. And also you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. The numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line for messages and calls, 8010271, 8010271. If you know anybody who's battling with any kind of autoimmune disease, and they aren't able to tune in during the live show, they can always go back and watch it on Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you let them know, please, that they need to get this information. Okay? Let me read a couple of your comments and then we'll go to our final clips of the day. We have a caller. Well, the person hung up. Okay. Okay, so let me read a couple of your comments. These comments are coming in by way of Facebook. Claudette says Miss Malcolm was on them. She's talking about the pandemic. Miss Malcolm was on them throughout the whole pandemic with all the positive information about them and the lies about the craziness with these. I don't want to say it because then they can block the show. But a lot of people weren't listening to her. She was really helping to protect the masses. Thank you, Claudette. And then Lloyd says, I know she's all about truth. Claudette says, we need more people like her. Then again, some of these people are so hooked up on these bad foods and pharmaceutical meds. Yes. Armando, I see your message that you sent on WhatsApp, and I will respond to you after the show. Because you say your birthday coming up and you want help, you want some of that good gluten-free cake. So I have your contacts. I'll reach out to you after the show, and maybe I can convince my cousin to do another gluten-free cake like the one she did for me. My God, great God from Zion, that was good. All right. Let's see. Tamiko Babs is asking, how do you heal your gut? Well, for starters, you got to stop eating gluten. For starters, you have to stop doing damage to your gut. So if you're eating anything with wheat, barley, rye, or oats, anything with wheat, barley, rye, or oats. Yes, I said oats, so that includes oatmeal. I said wheat, so that includes wheat bread, white bread, cream of wheat, any kind of wheat. Barley, which includes hops, which makes beer or malts. Anything with those four grains in particular, you got to put it down because they have gluten, and gluten damages your gut. So you got to put those down. You got to stop consuming oils, because oils cause inflammation. And I think in one of these clips, Dr. Berg will talk about that. So all oils, if it comes in a bottle, all oils you want to avoid because they have been oxidized, and they are pretty much rancid. And when you consume them, it causes inflammation, and um, the inflammation damages the gut. So you want to put that down. And then you may have to start, depending on how damaged your gut is, start taking some stuff, plant-derived nutrition, to help to heal the gut. It is possible. I am speaking from experience. I had been exposed to toxic mold long term, and that is one of the things that will wreak havoc on your gut. You'll have some serious gut issues if you're being exposed to mold. My gut was torn right up. And when I stopped eating the gluten and I started taking the microbiome, oh my God, it made such a huge difference, to the degree now that if I eat gluten right now, my body will let me know real fast. Maybe that wasn't a good idea, because it's so now used to not having that damage done that whenever I do slip up and eat it, I pay for that dearly. So you've got to be willing to make some changes to your diet. That's the first thing. You got to cut out certain things that are damaging the gut. You got to cut out the GMOs. Go organic if you can. But there are definitely steps you can take to heal the gut. One of the things that you need to stop doing is abusing antibiotics. Yeah, here in the Bahamas, oh, we love some antibiotics, eh? We'll take them, we buckato. But that is tearing up your gut. It's doing some serious damage to your gut. Here now is Dr. Berg to talk more about that.
So the first food I'm going to recommend is a probiotic food, right? That would be sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, okay? Anything that will give you these friendly microbes. And you might even want to take a probiotic as well, because we're trying to increase the diversity of microbes. Now, if we take on the flip side, I think we should also talk about what to avoid. Well, guess what? Antibiotics. Antibiotics directly increase leaky gut. Okay, they increase this zonulin, and they directly relate and can cause autoimmune diseases. So at the first sign of a sickness, don't jump to start taking that antibiotic. And if you have to, okay, definitely take a probiotic at the same time. It's so important. I mean, the amount of antibiotics that I've taken in my life are just off the charts, simply because I didn't know the long-term effects. Did you realize that when you take an antibiotic, there are going to be certain microbes that are going to survive that are going to develop a resistance to that antibiotic? That microbe that now is resistant to that antibiotic can do something called horizontal gene transfer, where it shares this information with other microbes that were not exposed to that antibiotic, to give them the genes that help them resist that antibiotic in the future. So these microbes can share information back and forth, and this is part of the survival mechanism that they have developed. And so the next time you take the antibiotic, it works less and less, to the point where it won't work at all. Another food that is good, potentially, for autoimmune would be anything fermented. Okay, fermented. I'm not talking about like fermented like beer or alcohol. I'm talking about like fermented vegetables, because fermented vegetables are easier to digest. They have microbes. They have the fiber that can actually feed the microbes. They have all sorts of other secondary chemicals that support keeping that intestinal line really, really tight. But if you have the type of autoimmune that involves damage to your gut, there's too much inflammation, then you might have a problem with vegetables in general. You might have to do carnivore for a little while. But if you don't have that, you might benefit from fermented vegetables. And this also includes vegetables, okay? Because personally, I do very well on them. I don't apparently have that much gut damage that it's a problem. Some people don't. But if you have an autoimmune disease that's affecting the gut, you might not do well on vegetables. But if you don't, vegetables can contribute to a good gut microbiome because they feed the microbes from the fiber, but also the phytonutrients in these vegetables greatly support zonulin.
So I see somebody in the comment is asking about dairy. Here's what you need to understand. There are certain foods that aren't necessarily bad for you, but you will have a bad reaction to, depending on the level of damage in your gut. So, like one of those foods, for instance, is a protein, eggs. Eggs are generally very good for people who don't have damaged guts. Egg is a perfect food, great protein, great source of healthy fat, but you may have developed an intolerance to it because your gut is damaged. And when that protein gets into your bloodstream, your immune system overreacts. So, the idea is to get you to the point where you don't have that allergic reaction. Okay, but you got to heal the gut to get there. So dairy is one of those things that falls into that category. All right. You may find that because your gut is already so damaged that whenever you consume dairy or yogurt or anything like that, you have a bad reaction. And that's because that protein is getting into your bloodstream and your immune system is overreacting. The idea is to get your gut so healed that you won't have a bad reaction to eggs, because eggs is a good food, but certain people can't tolerate it because of the damage that's been done to their gut. You will find that, according to Dr. Joel Wallach, food sensitivities is a very good indicator that you have a damaged gut. If you find yourself allergic to certain foods, that's a very good indicator that you have a leaky gut problem, as is other conditions like skin conditions like psoriasis or what do you call it, acne or any of those other skin conditions. Rheumatoid arthritis we talked about, joint pain we talked about, even brain fog, ADHD, so many different conditions that all can be pointed back towards that leaky gut. Okay? So, to answer your question, you may be having a challenge with that because of the damage that's been done to your gut, and things are getting into your bloodstream, like the proteins from those foods that should not be there. And so your immune system is reacting. Okay? Now, we only have about 10 minutes left, so let's see how we can quickly get through these other clips that I have. Here now is more information about another thing that can reverse gut imbalance.
And one of the biggest ones that is very well researched is sulforaphane. And not only broccoli sprouts, but in broccoli, cabbage, and other cruciferous vegetables. So sulforaphane directly helps reverse gut dysbiosis, okay, alteration in the microbiome. Sulforaphane is a great remedy for H. pylori, another microbe in your body that is in the stomach that can get out of control and turn unfriendly in certain environments, and then it can create ulcers. But guess what? Sulforaphane can help kill H. pylori and put it back into remission. Sulforaphane helps the mucus lining in your gut, and sulforaphane directly inhibits autoimmune conditions, okay? Especially like lupus and even psoriasis and other autoimmune conditions. So you could probably get the most sulforaphane in broccoli sprouts. And you can just put that on your salad each day. Or you can get sulforaphane in a supplement. All right, let's go to the flip side, what to avoid, okay? Anything with the herbicide glyphosate, and this is in the Roundup Ready and in GMO foods. And if you look this up, it's interesting because you'll see these mixed reviews. Of course, the ones that they say that glyphosate is fine are funded by companies that have a vested interest. But if you think about it, glyphosate has a patent on it being an antibiotic. Yeah, because it kills microbes. Certain things you'll see on the internet will say that there is no dangers to glyphosate in humans because the pathway that biochemically it interrupts is not part of the human body. Well, it is part of the microbes that live inside of our gut that we depend on, so it definitely affects us from the microbiome level. But glyphosate is in so many different things, even in non-GMO things, including wheat and other grains, not to mention soy, corn. It's just all over the place. And so now I think it's appropriate to bring up another really bad thing for autoimmune diseases, and that would be gluten in certain grains, okay? Gluten is a kind of a general term for several types of proteins that have a very devastating effect on our GI system. Now, you might think just about celiac, which is a very severe disorder, which is not as common as other disorders. But then you also have gluten intolerance, gluten sensitivity, which is pretty common. But what about for those people that don't have a problem with gluten, right? Well, check this out. Gluten, whether you have an intolerance or not, gluten is going to increase zonulin in everyone. So it's going to open up those tight junctions in people that are not sensitive to it. And the big problem with gluten is that it's the only protein that our bodies cannot fully digest, okay? So if we get this undigested protein floating down our GI tract, and then it opens up the hole in the gut and it goes right through, now we're going to start to have immune reactions, or at least inflammation, especially if you're consuming it on a chronic basis, which most people are. And unfortunately, lately, in the last 20 years or more, gluten has really increased in wheat and in other foods. And so you can imagine the amount of inflammation going on in our guts without us even knowing it.
So yeah, you got to put down the gluten, people, if you want to be healthy. You got to stop. You can't do it. There's no, only a little bit. That's like saying I'm a little bit pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you ain't. But you got to stop eating it if you want to be healthy, because it will cause damage to your body. Even if you don't realize it's causing it, it's causing damage. And the damage may be showing up as something that you are not even making a connection with. But yet, it starts at ground zero, which is the gut. Okay? Last clip before, if time permits, we'll take one more break after this. But this last clip I want to get in to be sure, because we have to talk about some of the things that are actually good that can also help you to heal your gut. And here they are.
All right, let's talk about number 4, okay, the food that you should be consuming. Food, and this is kind of just a general category, but foods high in glutamine, okay, glutamine. Maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but glutamine is a good thing to reduce inflammation in your gut. Now, glutamine is an amino acid that is a precursor for glutathione, right, which is one of the most important antioxidants in your body. And so what foods are high in glutamine? Well, red cabbage. And by the way, cabbage is just good for any type of gastrointestinal problem. Grass-fed beef, eggs, fish. These are all really high in glutamine. Now, on the flip side, additional things you should avoid would be, of course, glucose, fructose. Both glucose and fructose increase zonulin and increase permeability. Alcohol is another one that will just put a hole right through your gut. And of course, vegetable oils, another big one, like corn oil, soy oil, cottonseed oil, canola. These vegetable oils are highly inflammatory, and they definitely will create increased permeability. And of course, trans fats are also really bad for the intestinal lining. And number 5 food would be the omega-3 fats, and that's another category that includes, cod liver oil, fish, salmon, sardines. Omega-3 is really good for the gut and keeping those junctions really, really tight, as well as reducing the risk for autoimmune. Now, this last part is very, very important too, and this is not foods, it's just nutrients. And these nutrients that I'm going to talk about are hands down the most important nutrients to support the zonulin, to support autoimmune, to support the gut lining to make it really, really tight, okay? We have zinc, vitamin D, vitamin A, which is in egg yolks, beef liver, butter, things like that. So now you have the basic information on what you should be consuming if you have an autoimmune disease.
Okay. I want to read, only 3 minutes left in the show. I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers, Vernon. Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. Can you please tell me who you are talking to, the rich, the middle class, or the poor? Last I checked, we live in a country with most of our people living hand to mouth. Have you not noticed that every Wednesday there is a lower viewing audience? People are stressed just trying to find something to eat, anything to eat. So what you're trying to say is that this does not apply to people who don't have as much money to spend. That is a myth. And let me tell you why I say that. First and foremost, it just takes a little creativity, you know. I am a part of the Rotary Club of East Nassau, and once a month we do this thing called the Fox Hill Run, where they've identified some families within the Fox Hill community that we assist by taking groceries and cleaning supplies, etc. And that this is one particular community, one particular family in Fox Hill. Very, very small house that they're living in, no big fancy area. One little tract of land in their yard. But they grow in their own vegetables. They got their little banana tree in there. They grow in their herbs. I am so impressed. I walked and I said, now, Michelle, what's your excuse? Why are you not doing more of what these people are doing right here? They grow in their own food. And money what they would have had to spend in the food store to buy those foods, I agree with you, it's ridiculously expensive. But in their one little slot of land, they grow their own food. It is more expensive for you to eat poorly. And then at the end of the day, find yourself in front of the doctor because you got some major disease. And now you are there with these GoFundMe page and begging people to help you to get better when you could have avoided it in the first place. And no, you don't need to be rich to do so. Farmers markets, grow your own food, come together as a community, work together. Your health is your responsibility. Stop trying to find excuses to continue to eat poorly and then wondering why you're sick. There are ways to do this. And it's cheaper in the long run. 4 o'clock, gotta go. Thank you, everybody who tuned in today. Tomorrow, we got some things we need to talk about tomorrow because all kind of things going down. And anyway, just tune in tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow's show, okay? It's going to be a good one. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Take your health into your own hands, whether you're rich, poor, in between, because at the end of the day, you only got this one body to live in. And it's your responsibility to take care of it. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators.